Let's get this party started, brother. Woo, woo, woo,
Welcome,
woo.
welcome once again to our how-to session. It's always a pleasure to have you all. For those who are new, welcome as well to the session. It's an open forum for exchange. Where basically you get the opportunity to ask question any levels. I will answer them as they're asked. To keep things organized, we ask that you raise your hand when you want to ask a question. So I'll bring you in and I'll answer so that everybody can share in the poll in the knowledge gain. And also we have Robert assisting us through the chat. So if you have questions, comment that you want to share, you can put that in the chat. He will address or relay so that we can continue on deeper conversation points. Uh, we'll get started right away. If you have questions, I'm all ears for the first part. Generally, we there's a lot of things happening in the Nowsite, so I figured there should be a few questions here and there. If not, if you have gone over the idea of segmentation and started looking at that, if you have questions around that, I'll take them. Otherwise, we'll find something to talk about, as always. Questions? Count of one, two, three. Sold as usual to silence. I know we all know the routine. As we go forward, we'll most likely have some questions, answers. There are a few things that we could cover. Um, First thing, I was coming back from our last section. Oh, there you go, Clay. You have a question? I'll take that one.
Yeah, it's a different one. You helped me make a electronic business card
Mm-hmm.
in the websites. How do I get that and save it like on my desktop so I can put it in emails?
Oh, okay. Well, once the digital card is ready, it basically amounts to what you're doing with this link, right? Because remember, what you're doing is you're creating a marketing asset, which is a link. So if you want to copy, paste it somewhere on your desk board in a note pad or anywhere else, it's now yours to freely use. Did I answer the question? It was about that, right? How do we
Yeah, just
use that?
copy the link and paste it.
Exactly. So you see here, boom, I have it. If I wanted to share it right now to the discussion, I would paste it, right? If I want to include it in an email, I would open up that email. And this is why it's actually very important for those who don't have marketing asset or for those who are building a retention strategy after converting. It is important to keep in mind these assets, what you can do with the website. Because once you have that, then the rest is deciding what you do with your links. Here, for example, we want to send them, I can send them here to take a meeting after watching the video or receiving the email, right? Same here. Last time, Audrey was looking and asking for, well, where do we create that library of links that we can have quick access to, for example, when we are exchanging conversation. So I would go there, right? So that link is your marketing asset, right? If you notice, I often call what is happening in the website section marketing asset, because in the end, this is what you do with all these marketing assets. Here, I'm just going to go to a contact. So that link becomes something that you can use anywhere and everywhere as long as you have it handy. For example, if you have your team section, create yourself a section there, put your useful link so that when you're on the phone side of things, you can have access to these links using the board application, the keyboard application. Make sense?
Kind of. I'll have to work with it.
Okay. So just copy the link and
That
keep it
I'll
handy.
get on it.
So you see, and after that, you can put it here anywhere. So it's a marketing asset. You'll create more than one, most likely. Business card will lead maybe to a capture offer, will lead maybe to a landing page with more details on what you're about. And these are all things that will end up generating a link that will be useful. Okay. It is a good thing that we actually covered that. Oh, one second here. What did I say? Uh, just going to finish here. So paste the link and name it card. And that's it. So now it's part. So you can pretty much do anything with these links once they are created. So it's the whole point of making good use of this tool here, digital card, landing page, funnels, right? And all that works into the funnel approach. Since coming back to what we discussed last time about what goes into these emails, right? The first connection email where we're trying to establish a contact or break the ice with a cold lead, the digital card, for example, is a great tool, a great marketing asset. Welcome, for example, back to this email. Welcome. This is what we're doing here. We can take a look at the video and you can book a meeting. The call to action here could have been book the meeting, actually. You watch the video. It's a powerful introduction to what we're doing, who I am, and how I want to basically provide that to you, that value to you, followed with a call to action. Let's book a meeting or let's meet, right? So anywhere you see fit, anywhere you have a button, now these links become something that you can rely on. Make sense?
Kind of.
Kind of. It's okay. Step by step. Grab the piece of
I'll
this.
need to work with it. I'll need to work with it. And
Okay.
if I can't figure it out, I'll be asking another question.
Okay. Or better yet, book a meeting and we'll work on making sure that you understand it properly together, because it's really the next step. You have this asset. What can I do with it? That's the question that we're coming to. Good?
Okay. Thank you.
Perfect. Oh, you're welcome. Well, it's a good thing that we ended up in this section, because one of the things that I was working on, maybe you thinking about presenting later, since we are now really discussing about approach, but also conversation, right? And since I did at one point go over these terms, interest, intention, call to action, how they all factor in, I thought that it would have been a good thing today to talk about the interest, because it's actually the most important thing at the first stage of the connection. If I am not interested in talking to you or talking to you about what you want to talk to me, we cannot build any connection. If I am interested, but I'm too busy, I may come back to it. I may leave this conversation hanging around in my inbox, hence the importance of the subject line, right? The interest technically will echo across the board in many of the actions or conversation piece that you will offer, right? It's important to think about that. Before we get into that conversation, there's a small thing that I was thinking about doing or presenting, or I'm applying for myself. And I think this is important that everybody starts keeping in mind creating a process for yourself, training yourself, so that you adhere to good values or you keep good things in mind that you can also share with others, especially when you're training and coaching, right? One of the things that I noticed across my last meeting is this idea here that I'm trying to convey to you, the idea of setting challenges for yourself that are attainable, measurable, and specific. It's a small thing, but often enough, it's one of the steps that we forget. For example, when we are going into creating our business profile and we say we want to talk to everybody, how specific, how measurable it is of a challenge for you to accomplish. Simple thing, eh? But if you take that in mind, every time you approach a conversation, okay, well, this is going to be a challenge. It's supposed to be a challenge anyway. Great. I'm going to set goals for myself that are attainable, that I can measure, and that are specific so I can quantify them. Simple as that. All right. And going into the process, you now have this guideline, right? This made me come up with this little acronym, turn on your cams. And this applies a lot to us here. We have to turn on our cameras to do what we're doing, do these videos, do these interviews, connect with these people, right? So it's actually a play on word. We need to turn our cams every day on for us who are in this network marketing industry, and associating that acronym with what we're doing, setting ourselves achievable, attainable, measurable, and specific targets. For example, how do I apply this to myself? My law of 3%. Whether it's a real law or something that ended up being my law, well, it applies. 3%. If every day I wake up with a target of converting 3 people, by my law, I know I need to send at least 100 messages. That's quantifiable. That's attainable. How can I do that? There's many ways, right? I can do a mass email, or I can do peer-by-peer conversation. As it is, you want to balance both, right? Quantity must lead to something that is qualified, and that is what you're trying to convert. A little bit of what I try to put here in perspective as well. I often talk about acquisition, conversion, retention. This has to be a law for me every time I envision an exercise. What am I doing with this tool? For example, Clay, I have this digital card. It's an acquisition tool. What can I do with it? Right? If I mass market out, eventually, even if I don't know what I'm doing, if the conversation is where it needs to be, eventually it will start bringing in my quality audience, the people that resonate with that interest that I put forward in that conversation piece. Remember, our digital market are just a support for these conversation piece, right? So very important. One of the things about interest, which is important for us, is that whenever you're in the buy, sell, marketing, buyer's impulse is something that you will understand, right? We buy on certain impulse, certain needs, certain interests. Right? And this is important to understand whenever we're going to be marketing our industry or something within our industry. What is the emotion or the general interest that my audience will naturally adhere through when I'm marketing this conversation? And if I don't know anything, I need to adhere to that general interest. Right? Often enough, as a joke, I say, well, I'm trying to sell barbecue sauce to a vegan and it's not working. And I'm not sure why. Well, right there, the explanation is before me. Barbecue sauce, vegan. There's something that doesn't connect. The interest is not there. Unless I say, I'm trying to introduce you to this all vegan barbecue sauce. Turn your tofu into something new without eating any form of meat, right? So very important. The interest has to follow the intention, but the interest is the first thing that we need to train ourselves at narrowing down. There are a few factors or driving impulses that I've noticed across the years. I know most likely you have noticed others, but listing them out often enough is important so that you can see where they fall within your industry. Right? Last time when we practiced this exercise, going back to the platform, when we were looking at the subject line and using our AI, you creating content was easy, right? This is what I want to do. Give me 4 or 5 examples. And then the real work starts for me, identifying where is my strongest statement, right? Identifying where is my stronger statement. What has the greater chances for me to get that engagement? And this action, technically, this editor will follow you everywhere, not just in email, right? But also in website assets. Get that here in website assets. For example, here, I was looking at a sales funnel and applying this conversation here, right? And you'll notice that even by default, when the AI is giving you content, it will adhere to that structure. The interest is in the title. The intentions is in the short description that follows. And the call to action, which is the final goal for us, is right there. it will always steer that conversation in that format, right? And everything we do after also will follow through to the same format. So for example, if I go to the actual page, we understand the process. If this call to action follows strongly to the interest, there's an impulse to need to know more. And this is what I will act on. And if I go back, if I go deeper in the conversation structure, well, this is always present. The title is in the interest, the intention is into the description, and the call to action is that how. If I wanted, for example, in this case, for you to book a meeting, then again, I could give you my digital card here, book a meeting. Oh, one thing, going a little bit off topic, well, not really, since we're talking about conversation and structure. Last time we were talking about the integration of Google Forms and how to get people to share information with us, the different options that we had. I explored a little bit on that. Here, there is an asset here that I put on example. The one thing that we were trying to do is embed a form into this platform, right? And the issue is that was leading to certain complication depending on the integration. Since I had offered the Google form as an example, I went in to understand exactly what we were looking at in deeper ramification. You have the opportunity to upload or offer an import as an option. So here, for example, this is a quick brand assessment form that I created in order to start, for example, the discovery process with a potential customer, but also to create that handshake connection. If there's an exchange of information, we're deeper into the conversation. And you'll notice that I am able to have them importing a file. But here comes in certain restriction. For example, Keisha had built a little bit upon what that entails. Well, first thing, the AI itself or the Google form itself will let you know first you have to calibrate the form. By default, when I added this, it generated the drive for the people to be able to upload from this form by default, which I had to maintain. That's one thing. But coming back to what I wanted to cover in the end, I couldn't embed this file, this platform, because it will tell you directly. For example, once I was trying to embed, it told me directly, I cannot embed this because it has actually a link that leads to a drive, right? So you can use the form, but at that point, what you will be doing is sharing it in a form of a link. Why would you do that? If you want, for example, to gather the response on an Excel document that you want to use outside Nowsite before bringing it back in for the converted list of people who have answered the call of these forms, then that's an ideal process. If you want to make it easier for your customer base, then what I recommend is the latter. You can have basically them go directly to the drive by just submitting the drive link in a form, right? So always think about the simplest process that you can put before yourself and the client to fulfill whatever offer or obligation they need to adhere to before you can offer service or whatnot. So here, just to show you, I went to this website, and you can see here that is a simple form. At this point, and this is where also I recommend trying to keep things within the Nowsite environment, because we have a form. You can definitely use the different options here to recreate whatever type of questionnaires that you would want to collect prior to having them submit whatever document you want. And from what I saw, it can be anything as long as you set the criteria for it. Let me just show that to you. close. So you will see that you have a choice to set whatever type of documents you want them to be able to upload. Okay, so there is a value here. There is also an extra step that should be considered in what we're doing. Okay, so that just jotted through my mind there, something I think would be important to cover. And going back to what we were discussing, even at this level, what I was putting forward still applies, right? In this conversation, I want them to upload content. Well, the title will specify the interest. We are going to be gearing up for our meeting and we're looking forward to it. We want to get prepared. That's the intention. Give us more information for that to be effective. Call to action. The option is there, simple. Fill out the form, submit your logo so that we can have that discussion and I can be prepared to assist you. Right? So in simple format, everything that we do will tend to adhere to that structure, interest, intention, call to action. Now, keep in mind, because whatever product you have is usually built around a customer interest, right? Coming back to even Nowsite, just to show and double down on the word interest and its weight in what we do. When we are, for those who have the prospecting tool, when we are cold generating lead, one of the key criterias that we are aiming for is interest, right? Interest and skills. So that word carries a lot of weight, right? And whatever industry we're in, it is built around a core interest. Us understanding that allows us to start building these impulse-driven statement, right? Very important. I'll come back to when it loads here. But coming back to what I was saying here, understand what your industry is built on, the interest, right? The benefits, great. The interest as well, because the benefits are the intention that you're going to present to the audience, right? You should be getting this. Why? Because it's going to do this for you. Getting you to get this, the connection, the interest is what we're gunning for. Here, coming back to what I was saying, there's a few ones that I notice, right? Fear of loss. This is one people, for example, do not want to miss out on an opportunity, right? Or there's an event horizon here and we want to be protected from it, right? Fear of loss, for example. Go ahead, Robert.
So I have a comment. I won't say who was saying it, but somebody is a little bit lost with what you're saying. How
In,
can you could you dummy that down for us a little bit?
absolutely. At which level in terms of what am I saying?
Um, I think part of it was going into, and it may have been a little confusing because when you went into your screen share, it was French. I don't know if that
Okay.
helped confuse it or not, but we got to think right when we're training people.
Mhm.
How can a 5-year-old understand it, right?
Absolutely. Okay. So um, the part about the interest in simple format is what do people want to talk about or what do they feel when they receive that conversation, right? It's important in a sense. For example, the frustration or desperation after fear or loss, things like that, right? I'm desperate to find this solution. In simple format, for example, many of us will use these type of approach. Are you tired of, right? Have you been looking in vain for this solution, right? These type of construct, they're built around that frustration. Fear of loss, for example, to make it simple, insurance as a business. Insurance as a business is often enough built on the fear of loss. Protect yourself. Whenever you hear that, we're talking about that. Protect yourself, protect what you have, right? So, for example, if you are into any type of service that offers ID protection or data protection or home protection, that that main emotion is what you'll be looking at. And it's a powerful one. For example, if you're talking to a family man trying to offer a final estate arrangement or any type of insurance coverage, then playing on that, are you sure you and your loved one are properly covered? Fear of loss. Intention. If you think so, then you're never better sure by testing. We offer an evaluation. Submit your insurance plan and see how it compares to ours. Call to action. That initial connection feeds into the rest of the conversation. Fear of loss. Does that make a little bit more sense? It's the same thing, for example, for the last one or the one before the last. We buy sometimes based on mass effect. Everybody's doing it. I should.
But the common thing that most people may have heard is speaking to the pain of the marketplace.
Speaking to the pain of the marketplace. That is actually more complex than talking to the interests of the audience. Right? I don't know about you guys, but speaking to the
It
pain
is
of the
more
market.
complex.
Sorry? It is,
So
I
it
agree.
is more
Yeah,
complex.
it
Robert's
is
more
so
complex.
much more. There's so much more layers in that statement than, hey, talk to people about what they want to hear.
Well,
But
but
talk to
what you're
people.
doing is just showing them those pains, right? The fear of loss, it's a pain. The fear of frustration, gratification, right? All of those things.
One of the
We're,
things
we're
is,
both saying the same thing.
yes, but you had it right in the sense that what is the most important part is speaking to that, right? Speaking to that. If I'm going into a product that I know has to do with a lot of gratification, feeling better, right? Reshape your body to the fit of your youth. We have this product. Gratification. I want to be like I was. As simple as that, right? Sometimes pushing somebody is just that. It's not a complex explanation. It's the right button.
Right.
Don't you feel tired?
Remember how you felt when you were 18?
Ah, you see? You see? Remember your shine of past days. Ah, gratification, right? There could be greed. Win now, win big. Sign up, right? The connection. After that, you'll see that the rest of the conversation will naturally flow because it cannot go away from what your product does. This is why a big part of mastering what comes next starts with you knowing your offer. And what I'm discussing here is really that. Where is your offer hitting that market pain point so that you can speak to it? That's a complex one. When you're looking at your prospect, understand what is the core motivation behind what they are looking for. And that is usually something here, right? If I want, for example, personal growth, personal development, gratification, right? So, and it's important because in that conversation or that energy is what you will use when you're structuring the rest of your conversation or having the AI rewrite your content. It's also where you are yourself will be addressing or following in your process. When you come back here and start looking at your conversation and looking at it, is it addressing the interest of the market? For example, in this case, I went very simple. AI power drive. Power drive, we all understand what it is. And sometimes like, oh, I need that power, that oomph. I'm missing this thing. Speaking to that need, right? Empowering growth with seamless onboarding experience. This is the AI writing it. And for me, once you understand where we're going with this, it's pretty sharp because this is for a marketing tool. This is for AI. in simple format, this for me is on point. You need that AI power drive. Why? Everybody's getting it. There's a lot of interest here. Simple. I don't have to write a lot. Often enough, people will lose themselves in the title, making it too long, taking away the strength. Because the more information you put in, the more conversation or explanation has to come in, right? Just like we reacted, the pain, the market, and all that stuff. But here it's very simple. Okay, your interest is getting more power behind your business. It's the age of AI. Okay, we can empower you, right? In simple format, when you read this conversation, it also flows. AI Power Drive, empowering growth with seamless onboarding experience. Unlock your business potential now. The impulse. Sometimes also, you don't need a lot of emojis in the conversation if your structure, your conversation itself is emotionally charged the right way. Right? And that is urgency. That is impulse. Unlock your business potential now. Complete our form to discover how. Well, I built it with my conversation, but it would have been Nowsite strategy can pave your path to success. Join us in shaping your future today.
I
Right?
love it.
And the AI is doing this for you. Here, the only thing that I've changed before this session was basically the AI power drive conversation, because all the rest was written with my business profile with that in mind, and you have that trace there. This is also to hammer the importance of the business profile. I cover this, but sometimes I open your accounts when you come into meeting, and I only see maybe a nice and decent 10 business profile or 5, right? I don't see these different ideas that we're trying to use to shape our conversation. This is important. It helps you on the website, and it is fundamental for step 2 when you're generating this conversation. Right. And even here, often enough, when we're discussing the structure of these conversations, I always hint at that structure: what, who, how. And often enough, you'll see me say, talk to these people with this interest. I use this word often: interest, 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 because this is what I want the market to get. Right. I want to make sure that my vegan sauce barbecue is clearly lined up for these vegan users. So I need to make sure that I line up the interest with the audience. What, who, how, interest, intention, call to action. We sing these songs constantly. Keep them in mind, right? Because after that, the rest, it's just using the AI to create content or questions.
Now
So
you got
far?
me wanting to try your vegan barbecue sauce.
It's really something. It is. Because they are putting out these new forms of tofu that are pretty close to meat. If they're doing that, then we definitely need some sauce. There might be a market there. Sometimes a simple idea is all you need, right? A simple niche. Hey, there's an opportunity there, right? So it's the same thing with everything that you're doing. Often enough, if we look at our product, we'll see, okay, well, there's a niche there that is easier access to me for me. Okay, I speak their language. I have their interest. Coming back to what we often offer to do when you're starting in this space, look at the people that are just like you. Because one thing is for sure, you're going to talk about the things that you're interested once you're together. It's actually built in most of what we do. Okay, and it's the same thing. For example, when you're going online, I want to talk to people that have like interest as me. If I know your interests and I keep that in mind, then when I'm building my conversation, I know which impulse I can play on. Okay. It's one thing that is also something that you can get accustomed to slowly but surely, since we are heavily using the nav system right now. And even if we're using the prospecting, we often enough get these personality analysis, right? Uh, in terms of pain points, if we want to look at them, they're here, giving a pitch, right? All this is important. It's really that psychology piece that we're trying to resume by just speaking to the interest directly. Because if you're interested in something, you might even go beyond what you naturally react to. Like I usually do this, but when it comes down to this, Scoglands all in. When I hear this subject, no breaks, all in. But the rest of the time, I have a little bit more reservation in what I do or choose or whatnot. But if you hit me the right way, I'm all in. And this is what we're trying to do, create that impulse. And it's a simple mechanic as long as we keep in mind this small thing. What is the interest that I'm speaking to so that I can simply tell them, okay, well, if you're interested in this, that's the choice to make. Whether you make it or not is up to you, but there's benefits if you do it. Here they are. At that point, you put them into this yes or no situation. And why shouldn't I? I don't risk anything. Moral exchange. It's free. Or rather, there's no obligation or strings at this stage. Okay. It's also important that we never take value away from what we offer. We have to position the value, offer it, and let them know that it's there, that at one point, things will require a deeper opt-in. Hence that whole retention process that we want to keep in mind when we are creating our strategy with the websites across the email. It's all about conversation pieces. Comments, any difficulties? Great, Daniel, just at the right time.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Mine is, I'm still an amateur in these tools. I just came recently, joined this tool. So allow me to take you back. Thank you. Concerning these, the packages that we have, there is that one for my AI, then the 3 packages we have. Does it give, I was just wondering what does on the first package for my AI, the unlimited contacts, how far or what role can that tool offer to someone?
Let's take a look at, I'll bring it forward for context. I'll put the offers. Now, the price that you look at are not necessarily the ones that are actually offered because we always got some ongoing promotions. So keep that in mind. We're going to focus on the description itself. Okay. So we have 3 packages, the My AI, the Marketing AI, the Unlimited AI. Now, this here, when we say unlimited contact, has to do with the ability that you have to add contacts to your CRM, right? There is no limit to the people that you can manually put in, import, or whatnot. Does that answer your question in regards to unlimited contact, right? Because remember, if you have the nav, technically, coming back to what I put forward, if I'm setting myself a goal of 3%, meaning I need to get 100 messages out there, well, a big part of my day will be maybe bringing first massive amount of people for the day in this list. For those who have email, you get the mass email. If you have the marketing tool, if you don't have the marketing tool, you can still basically create that email system using the tool as well, the conversation tool, right? Because, for example, here, if I open this gentleman up and I go to, I have the email campaign for those who have. For those who don't have, well, even in the cold outreach, I have my email options, right? So first part, quantity, I'm going to send emails to these people with attachments. And then second part, I'm going to start looking more closely at a selected few, qualifying them through interest targeting, right? Because in the end, it's the only thing that you can do at the beginning. If I look at somebody's Facebook profile or LinkedIn profile, by seeing what they are posting, I can see what they are interested in. And this is important when you're on social media, right? We covered that a little bit when we were looking at the nav, right? What is the interest that I'm pursuing for the community that I want to prospect in? If it's wellness, then wellness will be the interest. That leads me to a group. That leads me to qualified audience. They want to talk about interest. I'm in the right place. And the action that I will make there will help me have me retain potential prospect or customers in the conversation process, right? So again, interest is important to you at this stage, Danielle. I want to make sure that you take advantage or set yourself properly for success. Have you calibrated your AI?
Not yet.
Not yet. So definitely start with the right
Yes.
step, right? You don't build a house with the roof first. You go into the ground, you dig up and plant these foundation, and these are foundation for the use of the tool. You'll notice that, and everybody here will attest to that, the AI follows you across all of this. This is why you have AI. What you set up here will follow you across marketing and ultimately the unlimited package, right? So this is foundation. Make sure that you go through this process, answer these questions. Again, once you go through the onboarding process, come back, double down by entering a little bit more in these fields. These are simple questions, they have an impact. Where are you from? What is here, for example, background, cultural heritage? This is what we're asking you. Where are you from? What culture, what interests you have? Family, what defines you? Bachelor, father, grandfather, right? Goals. Are we doing this to retire? Are we doing this to have an enterprise and empower others? What are these? These are important. Ladies foundation, but the most important thing is what happens in the business profile. Coming back to where we were, this section. Okay, so definitely go through that process. And also, when you're on your account, bottom right, we have our chat. Okay, use a conversation, request a meeting so that you and I can have a proper onboarding session, right? And lead you through the exercise. Okay, and remember, even what you are discovering here or hearing here today will apply to you. When you're going to start creating these business profile, the name, anchor the brand, but here, already start thinking about that. For example, when we're describing our conversation, this is a marketing opportunity. This is intended for those interested. Interest will follow through. This opportunity is fit for any solopreneur, uh, brand ambassador, homemaker looking to start a venture in wellness. The interest should be a standard part of our conversation. As it is in the past, face-to-face salesmen would have to ask you this question: "Hey, sir, are you interested in?" If so, we have a promotion going on today. How many times have we been submitted to that prompt? "Hey, sir, can you give a second? I wanted to know if you're interested in this. We have something that would interest you. You have 5 minutes." These are basic sales tactics, face-to-face conversation. "Are you interested in this? I only need 5 minutes to show you this." Right? So this still applies in our conversation. Right? The idea now is that when we're doing this, we're using the AI to anchor these conversations. The AI will be helping us with the conversation itself. This one was for Travel Made Easy. The first thing that the AI does actually is pull out the interest words. Keywords are that, right? Keywords are here. For example, coming back to my barbecue sauce, if I put barbecue sauce, it won't be talking about vegan. But if I say, oh, actually, let's make it a demonstration, right? If I do this, you will see that the keywords that will start appearing will be pertaining to the interests of that target audience. So here, for example, Verge vegan BBQ sauce. And we offer all uh, Here, I type this quickly, right? We offer natural and animal-free sauce. Simply put, this is intended for these vegans that want to live their best life, and it's offered online. Even quickly here, I'm adhering to that syntax. What, who, how, right? For those new like Daniel, even for us old, we want to make sure that when we revisit our conversation or we're setting them in place, we keep that in mind. And it's already a point where this conversation takes form. If anything, when I'm describing who I'm aiming at, I can specify the interest that I'm targeting. This is a valuable information for the AI because the keywords are nothing but these interests that are starting to be pinpointed, right? Very important. And we're going to see, for example, here, what it does with it. Okay. And this is how fast things should be happening here. We want to always make sure that we anchor our conversation with that. Then after that, the rest is playing with the AI and say, well, I like this, reshape this, don't do this, take this out. Okay. And if I have a syntax that I want to carry over for good practice, let me save it, keep it as a template. Have you experienced the delight of a vegan barbecue yet? Your Verge vegan barbecue sauce promises bold new flavor without compromising your ethical value. I like that. Perfect for any meal available online with seamless shipping to your doorstep. Are you ready to elevate your barbecue game while staying true to your belief? Let me know. Call to action. Right? And coming back here, discovery, right? The impulse. Have you ever experienced the delight of a vegan barbecue sauce yet? Right? It's a simple process, but at least it allows you to have some guidelines when you're doing this, whether it's here or, for example, I'll go back here. Oops, business profile here. I'm going to grab this, copy, and we'll put this conversation approach and see what the AI is doing with it. Right? And this is the most, for me, important part because, again, nobody comes here to buy your marketing links or the pictures on your website. They buy into the conversation. They adhere to that. They're like, yes, the impulse, I should take this offer up. Okay. So again, very important, very simple, but fundamental for our connection, right? It gives you at least that. And if you apply that 3% law, you also get to test it. Does this approach hits the bell every time? Do I get that engagement? If not, I'll restructure it. Coming back to that idea of keeping, for example, our email sequence short, trying to see which interest, which impulse we are trying to drive, and are these call to action hitting, right? And you can see, and often enough, for example, for those starting or even for those experienced, the AI is giving you the base, the interest, the title, the intention in the description, and every time we're missing a call to action. So the first thing that you want to do when you're generating these assets is that coming here with, okay, how do you get to learn more about this sauce, right? Here, if people are interested in it, where can I go to see more? Interest, intention, call to action. And all these folds, as I constantly hammer, are made for that, right? There's a conversation flow that is trying to be reinforced with your call to action. Okay, so keep that in mind. Everything, contact us. Excited to elevate your barbecue experience with our vegan? Well, fill out a form, right? Call to actions, service here, flavor exploration, seamless online shopping. And again, we get a lot out of this just by giving the right information to the AI. Here, for example, contacts us. Excited to elevate your game here. I'll say, and these are things. Once your information is there, interest. What do I want to build on? Maybe greed or something. No, I'll say right on offer to take. Voucher. That's why we. Can you help me out with the spelling of voucher? Is V-O. Promo.
VOUCHER.
VOUCH.
VOUCHER. All right. So here I'm playing on that interest. You want something? We can give you some promotion. It's basically something that is free. Well, not free, but we ask you to submit your information. Right? Well, here it went a little bit overboard here, but hey, I can get the part of it. Are you ready to elevate your video game experience? Mission to bring flavor while saving. I went a little bit all over the place on this one. Join us in our journey here. Huh. What did I write? Write an offer to take part into sample. Any questions so far on what we covered, what we discussed, and how you want to be using the tool?
No, great stuff. We're getting a couple of comments in chat. They love it. It makes more sense. You're an amazing teacher.
Amazing. That's a big one. Still learning, trying to articulate better these ideas. But again, keep it simple for yourself. And the simplest way to understand or to get into a conversation with somebody is always bring something of interest, right? So knowing your offers generally is the path to that. If my product is about this, and keep in mind, unless you're in a different tier where you are creating your product, and that gives a little bit more complicated ideas or more complicated things to keep in mind in that process. When you're promoting, when you're a brand ambassador, when you're part of another opportunity, usually these have been built around an audience, around a specific interest. So the simplest format, basically coming back to understanding where in these impulse-driven statement or action you're going to go, understand your product. Go ahead, Vicky and Tina. Oh, we'll start by Vicky and then Tina.
Hi, Virgil. Okay.
Hi.
When you're talking about the business profiles, what happens if what you've put in and then what it generates misses the mark? Like it's like way above, it's talking about clients and all this stuff instead of just individual people. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if it's missed the mark, you just go back and tweak it again.
Exactly. Because this is what it is. Whatever is creating is taking source here. Right. So if it's going too wide, it means that my conversation itself was very wide around the base. For example, we're looking at individuals that are interested in this topic. Who are these individuals? Because when it starts writing, it's going to go all over. There's a lot of people in that general conversation, that whole. Thus, again, that segmentation idea that we discuss. If your conversation is not well niche, then you haven't identified a segment of that market that you're trying to connect to. You won't be able to identify their pain and speak to it, to come back to the conversation or the advice from Robert, right? Very important. Good. Dina, go ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you, Virgil.
You're welcome.
I just love and adore you. Like, you are so awesome. And always give right on. But I wanted to share this with you and everybody that's on here. I went on what was called a train vacation. I'm in travel business, doesn't matter. But they had a whole session on what you're talking about Nowsite. How do you post? What do you post? What do you say? What do you do? And Nowsite offers all of this. Like what you're doing is what they were trying to get what am I thinking, a topic on, and nobody still knew what to post on in the company. And with Nowsite, everything's right here. So it was the whole time I was sitting there, I'm like, Nowsite has all this. Nowsite has all this. Nowsite has all this. And so what an amazing marketing tool. And then just to go through this with you, and I wrote down notes, is the intentions, and pain points, and what are you tired of? Those are great things to put on there and just be a human along with your AI and work together. But while I was there, I was like, oh my gosh, everybody here needs Nowsite. But just wanted to share that as a tidbit.
It's beautiful. Thank you for the share. And I love it because you now see clearly where you are, right? And tomorrow you'll get all these people and more like, you know what? This is, you remember the cruise and what they were talking about? Well, this is how I get it done. They were a little bit slow, but we have a tool that actually helps you go into it faster. The sale is done, right? But
yeah,
yes,
they had no clue. They're like, how do we know what to post about? How do we find our pictures? How do we do this? How do we do that? And in my mind, I'm thinking, I have the tool.
Go sign them all up, Tina. Go sign them all up.
I know, Robert. I am going to headhunt them after this.
Definitely go through it because you probably were burning in your seat trying to say, well, I don't want to sell another product, but I have it, guys. Just do your profile.
I was like an eagle watching everything. So I was like, oh my gosh. So
it is a powerful. It is a powerful tool that we have. Thank you for the share. And sometimes we fail to realize it. Often enough, we get overwhelmed by the tool because it's a powerful tool, right? Imagine that people stop at just these 3 words, I sell this. But what they get is already impactful, right? And what we're trying now to say is, okay, well, now that we know how to push these buttons, it's AI that's doing the work. We have the obligation of knowing our business. That's all we need to do. And going over these simple things, making sense of them, and training ourselves is the most important, right? Because here, for example, all our training was about, okay, well, making sure that the AI is saying the right thing. And I have to know what the right things are. And the right things are what are of interest to my audience. I have to be human. I have to look at these people and say, okay, what are they posting about? Right? Where does it go? Right? If I see a lot of posts about your family, we're going to be talking about making sure that you cater to your family. If it's travel, family travel, vacation, take them all on a trip, build stronger memory. Right? If it's protection, well, make sure that they're covered. If it's generating, well, generate more to provide even more for your family from home. Right? And that starts shaping your conversation very simply. Understanding what the client is interested in.
I'm sorry I interrupted you. They even talked about being a digital nomad and how are you going to do that? Like I was shaking in my seat.
You're like,
you taught me that in a personal meeting. So Daniel, get on a meeting with Virgile. I'll be quiet.
Go get
it. Oh yes, I will. His voice is being heard all the way in Africa. He's doing a beautiful presentations.
Thank you. Take advantage of the links. I'll be putting them in the chat. Everything that we cover, I tend to put back there. And it's going to allow you also to find your way back to me, Daniel, and I'll onboard you properly. There is a lot to be done where you are. It's a growing network. So be one of the first. Be like Tina. Guys, I have it. Come and get it. Come and get that knowledge, and that's it. And if you're truly, you can't fake excitement. I haven't been able to fake anything since I began. So I lift myself up. I'm like, well, here I love it. It's just me because I talk about it and I get excited. I'm like, oh, wow, I'm going to do this as well. I'm going to try to do this with somebody here. I'm going to offer this as well, right? There is limitation to what I can do, but there's so much more than those limitations. Right. So expand, play around with this tool, please. You'll see that. Take the fear away of being in front of your computer, turn it into an excitement. Want to be in front of the computer and start testing these conversation points, see what hits. try it out on 100 people. If I get the 3, I'm good. It means that I can fine tune it and get more. Okay? And keep coming back with questions.
And have fun. Please, for the love of God, have fun. If you're not having fun, you should not be doing it.
Or if you're not having fun, you're not doing it the right way. So change the process, right? Perfect. See you tomorrow and plenty questions.
Have a great day, everyone.
Love you guys.